What's going on, champs and champettes? It's FireMonkey here, and welcome to another episode of He Said, She Said in terms of the whole entire Epic Games versus Apple debate. As you guys know, the most recent Fortnite update originally got delayed by 1 day, and potentially almost even got delayed by more days due to Apple not approving the app for use in the United States. However, they did decide to go ahead and release the actual update anyways, and it has led to a weird little debacle. When the most recent update came out, the official Fortnite account on Twitter posted the following statement. Apple has blocked our Fortnite submission, so we cannot release it to the US App Store or to the Epic Games Store for iOS in the EU. Now, sadly, Fortnite and iOS will be offline worldwide until Apple unblocks it. And this has been something Tim Sweeney has been kind of talking about a lot publicly on his Twitter account, talking about how Apple has taken a long time to actually review the app, how Apple is, not rejecting it, but also not approving it, and typically 90% of Apple apps apparently get reviewed in in the first 48 hours, and all this type of stuff. However, Fortnite gets stuck in 100+ hour review periods where Apple just basically isn't doing anything, and it's odd to see how, and keep in mind, I don't really know how Apple products work, I just use Android stuff, but it's odd to see how this whole entire situation transpired, and how not only due to it trying to be put on the US are they having issues, but they're also having issues apparently putting it on the iOS store for the European Union as well. Now, afterwards, Apple has made an official statement, and I'll go ahead and read that after I go ahead and eliminate this enemy right there. And the official statement from Apple reads as following, and this comes from Mark Gurman over on Twitter. Now, he stated that Apple said that we asked Epic Sweden to resubmit the app without the included US storefront of the App Store so that it doesn't impact Fortnite and other geographies. Basically, what they're saying here is, hey, these changes are being put in place for, Epic Games and Fortnite in the US, but we don't want you to put these changes into the app on places that don't actually have these changes already, such as Sweden or, the UK or whatever else it might actually be. They also went on to say we did not take any actions to remove the live version of Fortnite from alternative distribution marketplaces in the EC, which means that this is just something that Epic Games decided to do themselves. It's like, oh, we can't have this on the US App Store? Alright, fine, we're just going to remove it from everywhere. That just seems to be a little bit of like an Epic Games weird play with this whole situation. Maybe they're trying to go to court over it or something, who really knows, maybe they're trying to have a remark or a Mark II of the whole Epic v Apple situation. I have no clue. But it has been a very odd situation in general. Now, on top of this, we most recently got a new update from Epic Games, which happened like a day or two after the whole Apple statement, which reads as following. According to Epic Games, they have asked the court to force Apple to approve Fortnite in the United States, meaning that they don't want to make the changes that Apple is asking for, right? Which, based on my understanding, is just, hey, remove these changes from versions of the store that shouldn't have these. These are supposed to be US-only things. Don't put US-only things in other versions of the app that exist outside of the US. And I can somewhat understand that, right? It makes a little bit of sense. These changes are supposed to be for one location, and Epic Games is trying to implement it globally to every single location that actually has Fortnite on it. So I can see why Apple may be a little upset about that, but at the exact same time, I'm not really too familiar with all that. But at the exact same time, it's kind of interesting to see this whole situation transpire, and then basically being like, no, you know what? We're not going to do these changes you want for us to get our app on the App Store. We want you, Apple, to approve it anyways. And if you don't want to approve it, we're going to go to the court, and we're going to say, hey, court, force Apple to approve this now. And it definitely is going to be a situation that is going to transpire and evolve once again over and over and over again. And okay, shut up, AI Vader. I have lowered AI Vader's voice so we don't have to hear him talking as I'm trying to communicate to you guys. But yeah, it is something where it seems just like an odd situation with Epic Games. They want to go ahead and force the app back on the App Store. They want to be the heroes of the whole situation. But at the exact same time, it seems like they don't want the app to be back right now, right? It seems like they want to use this as a little bit of a training statement to tell the government or whatever else, or tell Apple, no, we want these changes globally. We want you to play by our rules, not the rules that even like the courts have put in place, right? It's like, technically, we're playing by the rules of the United States, but Apple's rejecting us, even though based on Apple's statement, it's like, hey, we're not rejecting you because of the United States stuff, we're rejecting you because you're trying to put the United States stuff on the other versions as well, and we know how you've acted before, we know how we actually got into this whole entire situation to begin with, with the whole entire, choose where you want to pay system, and we're not trying to have a repeat of that in other places, even though you're allowed to do it in the EU and in the United States. But overall, even though Fortnite has been delayed on the App Store, and even though it has actually been once again removed from the App Store for some people, it does appear like this is going to be something that continues to be a struggle balance. You know, some days we'll have it better, some days we'll have it worse, and it may be a few more years until we actually get Fortnite properly back on the App Store, because Epic Games and Apple, both sides just kind of want to seem to play a little bit dirty, in my opinion, based on what I know about the whole situation. With that said, however, I hope champs and champions enjoyed today's video. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and maybe one like equals one more chance of Apple coming back, or I guess Fortnite coming back to Apple, who really knows. Until next time, however, peace out.